been a lot of fun doing the show, mainly because I get to study whatever I want, right? Like, we did a whole show on weed, cannabis. Yeah, I learned so much. I mean, as it turns out, there are actually 3 species of cannabis, right? You have sativa, indica, and ruderalis. Now, all 3 of these species can get you high when they're grown correctly. So hemp is actually a variety of sativa, just grown in a colder climate, right? Which does not mean you can get high just by heating up a hippie's t-shirt. Okay, but still, America originally had a cooler climate. So that meant that they weren't able to grow anything but hemp. However, America is not really a country that likes to be told they can't do something. So they got some scientists together, some botanists together, Frankensteined the 3 species together to create a plant that was short, quick growing, and potent, and wouldn't die living in America. I know. If only we could do that with all of our citizens. So, by the way, when I say Frankenstein, I just mean crossbreeding, which is amazing, right? They do it in plants to get all the right characteristics. I wish we could do that with dates, you know, potential dates, you know, get like her brain, her looks, his privilege. I don't know, honestly. Like, I date one woman and I'm like, what were guys good for? Anyway, THC, as it turns out, the best THC is in the flowers, and female plants, unsurprisingly, have the biggest and best flowers. I know, it only took pot farmers like a few centuries to realize the strength and the superiorness of female plants, which makes them way more progressive than the rest of the human race. Just kidding. It's jokes. Comedy. Anyway, unfortunately, like humans though, female plants think they need the male plants, right? Now, I did mention crossbreeding. Yeah, pot plants, they have sex. Not to make any married people jealous, but I know. Unfortunately, female plants don't understand the whole treat 'em mean, keep 'em keen kind of thing. So while they're trying to attract the male plants, they produce the THC, you know? They're just like, oh, look at my flowers, look at my resin, give me the pollen, you know? Right? And I'm like, come on, female plants. Like, you do not, stop looking so desperate. You do not need a male plant to make you happy. But, I mean, genuinely, you don't need a male plant to make you happy because you can propagate weed. Still, thing is, female plants will up their resin and up their THC production until they become pregnant. Right, yeah. Then as soon as the plant is knocked up, THC production practically stops, right? Biological evidence that it's not just humans that become boring when pregnant. Again, apologize to anyone who has given birth. Jokes, but so the thing is, the pot farmer's solution though is just to remove all male plants and leave the sexually frustrated female plants to just produce more and more THC, which is actually a version of The Handmaid's Tale that never was made. So what else did I overanalyze this summer? I looked at bisexuality, of course. I've got a nice little bisexual flag in my backdrop as well. I got to read a bunch of other scientific papers as well. Read quite a few on sexual orientation and bisexuality, actually. Because the thing is, I only realized that I was bisexual only a few years ago. So pretty late into my 20s, you know? Like about 18 years into my 20s. But people, when you come out so late in life, people question you all the time. And there's so many stereotypes, you know, like you're greedy, incapable of being monogamous, promiscuous, which is just, I hate indecisive as well. Like I'm unable to choose. In fact, there was even an article that said about how indecision, the bisexual's indecision negatively affects our executive function, and therefore bisexuals aren't capable of high status managerial positions. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not capable of a high status managerial position, but that's because I refuse to wake up before 10. But I think one of the biggest surprises that I read, that I found, article was an article that was published on July 20th, 2020. All right, so we're talking mid-summer pandemic lockdown, right? July 20th, 2020. And it was published in the Proceedings of the National Association of Sciences. Right, now, if anybody out there is a scientist, you know that this is the second most cited journal in the world, very well respected. And if you are not a scientist, you know that the acronym for it is PNAS. Yes, I know, I do have the maturity of a 5-year-old. But what killed me about the study, actual study, the title of it was Robust Evidence for Bisexual Orientation Among Men. Evidence. Right? Not even proof. Bisexual evidence, right? Scientific paper, 2000 evidence. And you're going, why? How does, I mean, yes, so many questions as to why we have to have this article. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but science has already accepted that about 400 species, including 10% of all sheep, are actually bisexuals. Not going through a phase, you know? So I'm like, come on, you know, if I'm going to be labeled as greedy, Dolly is too. But, I mean, I did learn that the study was a rebuttal to a New York Times article, so it's fine. And some people, I guess, need it, right? They need scientific evidence to prove that we exist. But if you sit back, like that article aside, there's so many things about it that crack me up, like that really make me question, I will say that. Like, first of all, how is this study done? Right? Because of course, right, July 20th, 2020, there is a pandemic. Every scientist in the world is searching for a vaccine, and these 13 guys were like, nope, it is more important to collate erection data. And they did. I read it, right? First of all, it took basically a bunch of men and showed them male and female stimuli and measured arousal. I know. Honestly, they had one guy collecting the male and female stimuli, which totally cracks me up. I mean, talk about a free pass for the whole work laptop browser history. Am I right? Like, that guy was like, I'll do it. I'll find the stimuli. And then every night just called home, was like, yeah, oh my God, honey, I'm sorry. I gotta work late again. Oh, I know it is hard at work right now. Second of all, this study was done across America and the UK. Right now, Americans, fine, but Brits, I know you. You are shy about sex even in private, let alone in front of 13 scientists with clipboards and protractors being like, is it? Is it? But I guess the question is why? Why do we need this study, right? Do we also need a Harvard-edited study that shows that tall people exist? And they're like, oh, but you can see tall people. Look at me. Why do we need this article? Right? Are there really people out there that don't believe we exist? The thing is, we just don't have a presence out there. Like, for example, TED Talks. Right? Now, TED Talks, established in 1986, really became famous in the year 2000. And they're writing TED Talks on everything. Everything. TED Talks about this, that, everything. First TED Talk about bisexuality was 2015. You don't know how many topics beat that? Right? 2015. Do you know it came out in 2012? A TED Talk entitled, How to Use a Paper Towel. Yeah, apparently that more important than 3.1% of the American population, right? Just that, way more important. Oh, gotta figure out how to dry our hands with a paper towel. Not even how to wash them, which I'll be honest, 2020 probably would have been useful.